What is going on, everybody? You already know it is Thursday night. It is 6 p.m. My name is Paul Spencer. That is the man himself, Dan Connor. And tonight you are tuned in once again to the NFL Weekly Talk on Out of the Box Sports Network, here where we go division by division until we get to that NFL draft. And Dan, first of all, how you been, man?
Pretty good. Pretty good. First week of free agency. It's been a good week so far for my team. Your
Yeah.
team, I don't know how good it's been. Not much cap space. For the Patriots, it's been all right. It hasn't been bad for them either. And we
Yeah,
talk about the AFC East tonight.
definitely,
And
definitely.
how you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. As you know, you heard me backstage screaming at T-Mobile and Apple because I got a brand new phone yesterday after 5 years of waiting for us. Like, okay, I'm doing it. I got a new iPhone 16 Plus, and Dan, for some reason, I'm locked out of my phone now. No touch screen is working on my phone, so I'm screwed either way. First, my new computer comes in cracked. You've seen the pictures of that. Now my phone. Dan, well, at least the Cowboys spent a little bit of money this year, Dan. We did sign some players, so I'm okay with it. But your guys are doing this well. You guys are making some signings, but we're not here to talk about our division, Dan. We're going AFC West this week as we go around the NFL. AFC East, I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell. My mind is on my iPhone, Dan. I'm lost without my phone, Dan. But AFC East, Dan, this division has really one team, Dan. It's the Buffalo Bills. But as we always do last season, let's start with the bottom feeders, Dan. We have two of them, but one is worse than the other one. So how about we start with those New England Patriots, Dan? How do you feel, Dan? Last year.
Last year, they took Drake May. Early in the draft. I thought he had a solid season. They had to get him some weapons.
Yeah.
Get him some offensive line, some more weapons, because they didn't really have too much in terms of throw to. So basically, they want to have give Drake May some support, and they have a lot of cap space also.
I agree. I think last year's biggest thing was no weapons, Dan. You go into the season, Booty, Kendrick Bourne as your number one and number two, and that's not really a 2 or 3 on any other team. I blame it a lot, Dan, is the rebuild word comes to mind with this New England Patriots team. They have the draft picks. They have the salary cap this year. But last year, Dan, it was just a team that was trying to put together pieces with a new head coach, Dan. And he gets released, Dan. It's craziness. It's usually a new coach, Dan, gets a 3 to 5 year window as a game plan. My guy didn't even basically, he got one full season, Dan, and said, goodbye, you're out of here. But rookie QB, Dan, no weapons. Ramon Stevenson was hurt as well last year. He didn't play that great. Antonio Gibson barely played. Dan, it's just weapons. I think if they get the weapons, you got to give your quarterback weapons, right? You have to, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they signed. They didn't really have like a lot. They signed Mac Hollins.
I mean, yeah, that's a nice wide receiver. He does compliment Dan, but he's not the true one either, Dan. When he's not that number one though.
Yeah, I mean, they could take a McMillan at 4, but they're number 4 in the draft. I mean, a lot of good players at number 4. Where they're at.
I mean, if we're talking draft, I think they do go there, Dan. I mean, he's a generational player, McMillan from Arizona. Why not take him, get him a weapon? Because, Dan, he is something like compare him to a Jamar Chase, a Marvin Harrison Jr. type, Dan. He's that player. And that's what you need, a weapon, Dan. You might as well go get him before, right? To give Drake May a weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. But if a player they don't like it for, they can always trade down a little bit and take a receiver there. If they feel the value isn't there. But they're in a good spot, and they mostly address their defense rather than their offense. Joshua Dobbs, I don't think is going to be the answer at quarterback.
What do you think about Joe Milton, though?
I think Milton is a good backup.
Would you ever put him in a starting role? Because Drake May, you gave up basically not the farm, but you took him overall. 1, 2, 3 as the top quarterback coming out of that draft. Because that draft was deep, Dan. We talk about that draft. You had Caleb Williams. You had, good God, what's his name? Jaden Daniels and Drake May. That was a solid draft, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll see what they do with him. I think Dobbs is just, he could be the backup. Who knows? Maybe he'll get released. They signed Dobbs for $8 million.
I think that's overpriced, Dan. He's a journeyman. He's played everywhere.
It's definitely a little bit too much, I think, for him. Because I think he went to Minnesota, played a couple of games, and then fizzled out.
Yeah.
So I don't really like paying him that much. And
Mhm.
I like Milton. I thought he would get traded, to be honest.
I don't. I'm kind of puzzled by the Joshua Dobbs thing, Dan. Because just like you said, when he went to Minnesota, he went there 2 days before he started. Going in there and playing that game with Minnesota, didn't know the playbook, nothing. He actually won that game, and then he fizzled out. But Joshua Dobbs, man, a journeyman. He's played for so many teams. He's a backup, Dan, and that's the only thing I can say is a backup. But Joe Milton, I think he might be the 2 spot on this team, but can you pull how short of is your leash on Drake May? I don't have a leash on him though. Do you? Because they did that. Remember they did that with Zach. What's his name? Mac Jones. Remember how he was on a leash with Drake May first a couple years ago?
I think Drake May is your starter. You have to go with Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it gives you the best chance to win in his second season.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to start. You played him a lot to finish the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he should be your starter. You didn't take him to sit and do nothing, and he's the best quarterback you have. And they have Brissett also.
Wait, didn't Brissett just leave? I thought he went somewhere.
Brissett probably left, actually. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't write down.
Some of the rosters are not exactly.
Yeah, I don't. I remember Jacoby Brissett went somewhere. I thought he went somewhere West Coast. And I think he did. If I'm not mistaken. I think he did actually. Because right now I'm looking at it, I think we have Drake May, Joshua Dobbs, and Joe Milton are those 3 QBs. But you're suffice with May. You got to get him weapons. But Dan, the running backs last year, Ramon Stevenson and Antonio Gibson, they went out and got Gibson. But I thought they would be a lot better, Dan. He's a bigger upgrade. Gibson's an upgrade over Zeke Elliott the year before. So I thought they would be there. But Dan, when you have no wide receivers, you can't do much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean their top receiver was Douglas and Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry's a tight end. He's a tight end. Yeah, he's a tight end.
I know he's not a receiver. So
jeez, yeah. I mean, I understand. When Belichick was coaching, he had Gronk and he had murderer Aaron Hernandez. That was tight end university with New England. But when Hunter Henry is your number 1 wide receiver playing tight end, it's kind of bad, Dan. It really is.
Tigger McMillan might make sense for them.
I agree. I mean, their defense was kind of banged up.
Weapon.
Yeah, their defense was banged up, Dan. I mean, they've always had a good defense. New England Patriots always build a foundation of defense under Belichick. But, I think the biggest addition is Milton Williams from the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to be playing that defensive end spot. He's going to be a big body. You still have Christian Barrymore as well. I think their defensive line is solid, Dan. They brought back
Spillane. Also Harold Landry as well.
And they got Robert Spillane too. Yeah, and Carlton Davis. They re-signed a lot of players, Dan. But how do you feel about their secondary? I mean, Jabril Peppers, Dan, he's not what he is anymore. He's kind of washed up.
I mean, they could also take one like they could take Hunter at 4.
Oh, okay.
Defense. Put him a quarterback, and that would help their secondary for sure.
I mean, you do have Christian Gonzalez. A couple years ago, he was a solid pick. He's been injured. You move him. He's a corner there. And maybe if you do put Travis Hunter at that corner spot,
you take Abdul Carter if he falls to 4. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you could do with the number 4 pick of the draft.
See, I don't think I would go Abdul Carter because they have Milton Williams, who they got from the Eagles, and then you have Christian Barrymore too. So your 2 defensive ends are set. One's going to come off rotation. I like what you said. I think, if I don't go McMillan here, I'm probably going to go Travis Hunter to solidify that defense if I go there. But Dan, what about, you said trade back. What do you think about this? How about the Patriots? They're at 3, correct? Number 3, right?
4.
What about, teams want if the draft falls a little bit, you guys don't take Shador. This team doesn't need a quarterback. What if they eye someone out there and they say, just like you said, yeah, we like McMillan. He's a generational player. But, say Dallas calls at 12 and says, hey, we want that 4th pick. We'll give you our 12th pick plus a second round of, this year's draft. I think you do that, Dan, because at 12, maybe you can get a Luther Burden from, Texan, a wide receiver. You get one of those guys at 12, and then you're gaining something in the second round, an additional pick at number 12, Dan. So it's going to be pick 43. So you're getting 1 first round pick at 12. 2 second-round picks at 12 and 30, 34 and 43. That's not a bad deal, Dan.
No, it's definitely not a deal. If I'm them, I'm not trading out of the top 10.
No.
But
Okay.
that's if they have a player they don't like. There's going to be some good players at 4.
Okay.
But,
So
depending on how the draft shakes out.
okay. So I think they either go, man, I like Travis Hunter, though. I mean, he's a solid guy. And Dan, we talk about it as well all the time. He's going to have 5 to 10 plays in a playbook every week. You know that.
That as well.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think they go there, but what kind of grade do you give the New England Patriots last year, Dan? Basically, back-to-back years, they've sucked.
I don't know, like a D plus, I guess.
D plus.
I think they got the Drake May pick right.
Okay.
But they have a lot to work with.
Yeah.
And I thought Drake May did well. When he's able to play, now you want to build upon that and give him some support, on the offensive line and some weapons offensively.
I agree. I think my grade for them, they were banged up, and you know what? You got to give the pass to Drake May, Dan. I mean, he has no weapons to throw to.
Yeah,
an offensive line that was
is probably the most fair.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go C- as well because, Dan, they were banged up like crazy. So I got to go C-. I'm giving them the pass. I shouldn't do it, but I'm going to give them the pass based on injuries and no weapons. But somebody's telling me today, Dan. I was talking to him, and he's like, you can't give Drake May a pass because Tom Brady never had a wide receiver. And I'm like, Drake May and Tom Brady are 2 different animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would not compare the two. I mean, they only average 17 points a game, so the guy got more offense.
Agree, 100%.
24 and a half a game.
Exactly. So I'm going to go C-. I'll give him a C-. Yeah, I'll go C-.
They need help in both areas, so a defensive pick would make sense for them. Also.
Right. Agree. Yeah, I'm going to go C-. I'll give them a C- this year, based on last year's season. But what do you think next year, Dan? I mean, they're picking 4, Dan. First 6 rounds here, you're picking number 4. I think they have 9 picks total. Do you think this is going to surpass them with the season they had this year, Dan? Or are we still in rebuild mode for this team?
I think they can win 6 games.
You think so? Six games.
I mean, they're 4-13. I mean, can they really be worse? They get a weapon, improve their defense. I think they'll be a little bit better, just a little bit.
Okay, so you got them going from 4-13 to 6-11 this year, right?
Yeah.
Dan, I tell you, if that was our team, we'd be a pissed off damn bunch of people. But okay, if you go 6-11, Dan, you're still going to be drafted at what, maybe 6 and 7 this year, right?
Probably. They'll probably have a top 10 pick.
Okay, well, you know what? That's kind of, I mean, if you're building on a window, I guess that's good for your team, then, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the important thing is Drake May having a better season and building upon last year.
I mean, their offensive line, their offensive line is okay, Dan. He's not getting sacked that much, but I think you have to give him weapons. So I think that's the biggest thing for Drake May. Go out and get the kid a couple weapons because you can't win. I mean, your defense can give up, 15 points, but you can't score 10 points on your own. So you're going to lose the majority of games going 4-13. So
exactly.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Well, moving on, Dan, we got another team to talk about. Talk about a bad team as well. I mean, hey, them in the New England were fighting for a draft pick in order, Dan. Let's talk about that team. The New York Jets. Talk about disappointment once again, Dan. Talk about disappointment once again.
Yeah, you thought that Aaron Rodgers coming back off the Achilles,
right?
Ended up being a real bad first half. They played better in the second half, but just as a team, they just did not play well at all. Their defense didn't play well. We thought their defense would be good. Their defense was not good. And Rodgers couldn't save them from anything. So he didn't have the worst season, Rodgers, but they just did not have the best season overall as a team.
I agree. I mean, going into the season, Dan, coming off the the injury, the Achilles there. Okay, if you keep him upright, they went out and got Tyron Smith. He's on his last leg, but he's a big left tackle from Dallas. You're bringing these guys to play for you, Dan. The offensive line is okay to keep Rodgers upright in the pocket, give him a couple seconds to get downfield. The running game's great. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, 2 nice backs, Dan, of course. Garrett Wilson, Lazard, Xavier Gibson. They have the wide receivers. And, Dan, mid-season, they gave up basically a lot of money to go out Devontae Adams, Dan. When they brought him in, like, okay, they're not going to make the playoffs, But man, they might make the playoffs. They might find a way to win the last 6 or 7 games here. But then that didn't even make a difference getting Devontae Adams.
It was too little, too late. If they could have gotten him earlier,
Mm-hmm.
would have him earlier. But Devontae Adams almost had 1,000 yards. Wilson had 1,000 yards.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They both had 7 touchdowns. Lazard had 6.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Rodgers did have the worst season. He had 3,900 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 picks.
Not bad for a QB though.
Sacked 40 times. That's not bad, but they were just so bad in the beginning of the season they needed to play catch up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have the stats in front of me. How did Brees Hall and Braylon Allen look this year based on yards?
Brees Hall had 876, 209 carries, 876.
Okay.
5 touchdowns for Brees Hall.
Okay.
Allen, 92 carries, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns.
So basically you got 1,200 yards from your backs as a committee, and you basically had just like you said 3,900 yards from Aaron Rodgers. But then the problem to me, the offense sputtered a little bit, trying to get the continuity.
Defense didn't play well.
Yeah, exactly. The defense, Dan, that was the biggest thing to me. I mean, you have a lockdown corner, Dave, and Dan and Sauce Gardner who can lock it down, but you go out and you get out like Hassan Reddick, who just got released down. I think he's with Tampa Bay now. But you even have him coming in. He was a no-show. He basically didn't even want to play ever, Dan. But you got Quinyon Williams. You got these big guys, Leonard Taylor. You have some big bodies, Dan. What do you think the problem was with the Jets defense? I mean, they're usually a lockdown good defense.
I don't know. They just didn't play well. They, anytime they needed to stop, they couldn't get it. But the offense put them in some tough spots this year.
That's true too. A lot of it was the offense putting them in bad positions. I mean, they played behind the 6 stand. There was a lot of 3rd and 9, 3rd and long, where they even in their own zone, Dan. I mean, they got locked down on their own side of the field, kicking it. Ball control was to the 30, 40 of the opponent, and it was a short field basically for half the time with this offense. But the defense, Dan. I mean, where do you go, Dan? Because the Jets, I mean, their offseason moves, Dan. They got some people. I mean. Justin Fields, how do you feel about that? Aaron Rodgers is still up in lingo. We don't know if he's, isolated in the dark room, meditating. We don't know.
Who knows with Russell and Rodgers? Who knows? But Justin Fields, I think, is an interesting signing.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how he does with the Jets. I mean, they have weapons. They have a good run game.
Right.
I mean, I think he gives them a chance to win, but will he play consistently good? I don't know.
See,
I don't know if that's going to be enough, but I think it's interesting. It's only $20 million a year.
Not bad. I mean, that's like a backup quarterback money right there, a little bit. But I was thinking this, Dan. Justin Fields does make sense to me because you're still building on this team, and Justin Fields gives you you think about it. Russell Wilson doesn't have the legs anymore. Okay, Aaron Rodgers don't have the legs here. You have 2 good running backs with a quarterback that is a running back, can run the ball. He has a good arm, but he's inconsistent to me. That's the key word to me. He's inconsistent. He looks to run before he throws, Dan. That's the thing, I think he is a good bridge until, we took the experiment here, the Justin Fields experiment. If it doesn't work out, hey, it's $20 million a year. It's not a big price tag when people are paying $50 to $60 million a year for a starter. It's a bridge to me, Dan. It's a no-win situation for me.
Yep, they signed Okafor, the tackle.
That's a good signing. I do like that signing, yes.
Josh Myers, the center.
Mm-hmm.
Help all the offense. Jamie and Sherwood.
Mm-hmm.
Re-sign with them. Brandon Stevens.
Mm-hmm. He's a good safety coming over. He's a good safety from the Ravens. He's a solid guy. He can help them out there. I think him and Gardner will be good.
Yep, and Andre Cisco.
Mm-hmm.
And Isaiah Oliver re-signed with them. So
agree.
It's not bad. I mean, we'll see what they do in the draft. They have the number 7 pick.
Mm-hmm. Where would you go? You already took care of your quarterback. Your wide receivers, you have Gibson, you have Garrett, you have Lazard. Yep. Those are 3 big guys there that can, 1, 2, and 3. You're set there. Running game, you're fine if they're healthy. Braylon Edwards, Brees Hall, you're good. Offensive line is good. I mean, they're steeple pieces. The left tackle Fanshu in the draft 2 years ago. They're fine there. Where do you go, Dan? Do you go defense with team? Where are they picking, Dan? Where's the Jets picking this year?
7.
Top player. You're getting a lottery pick player, Dan. Where are you going at 7? Where would you go with this team?
I would go. They're going to take McMillan, that wide receiver. Another weapon to help them, without a doubt. I don't think they would take quarterback. I highly doubt that. But there'd be like a defensive players there as well at number 7. offensive line also.
Do you think two players in mind, Dan? Do you think Abdul Carter drops because he's lingering that I don't need surgery, I do need surgery because he is going to run the
7, I
combine.
think it'd be a steal.
Yeah, if it is, do you take a flyer on him? I mean, defensive end. You think about that. You have Jermaine Johnson out there, and who do you have? Michael
Who
Clemens is their
knows?
defensive end.
What if like Mason Graham is there?
Wow, I mean
If
that
he's
would
there
be
at 7,
nice.
do you take him? I mean, that would be a steal at 7.
I mean, you put him in that rotation. He's going to be a starter. You put him next to Leonard
Yeah.
Taylor and Quinyon Williams. That's a nice
Yeah.
front four right there. Either if Abdul Carter drops or Graham drops, I got to take them. But let me ask you,
You
what
could take
if?
that linebacker from Tennessee,
Okay, yes, exactly.
Spence or whatever his name is.
Oh no, what is his name? Pierce? Was it Pierce?
Pierce.
Pierce, yeah, Pierce Jr. or something like that. Yeah, I heard he's dropping really bad though, Dan, in the draft for some reason.
A lot of players will drop. A lot of players you expect that might drop out, and then players will rise that you don't expect.
What best scenario would you see? What player would fit them at 7, Dan, would be Christmas in April for the New York Jets to drop? I mean, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter. What if these players drop? Or say if you're sitting at 6, you're at 7, Dan, the Raiders pick at 6 here. Would you be willing to move up to get your player that you want? If Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter does fall that far, what would you give up?
I don't know what I'd give up to move a couple of spots. If you get a Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter or something like that, that'd be good for them. I think both those players will go in the top 5, I think.
Okay. Because during the season, coming close to the draft, we will do a mock draft. You and I, we do 50 of them. 50 of them together, and whatever. But I did one. Then I was just playing around a couple nights ago, and I couldn't sleep here. I had the New York Jets taking McMillan first round, just like you said. Okay, in the second round, I had them coming back to get Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame, the corner.
That'd be a good pick for them.
I think he's going to be okay coming off that injury. He was an All-American 2 years in a row. The injury set him back, but I think that's a top 10 player if he wasn't injured coming out of last season, Dan. So I got them going there. I think they go defense, but my perfect pick for them would be McMillan if he dropped, but I don't think he's going to drop that far, Dan. Don't think so.
McMillan would be a great pick for them, but I don't think he'll drop that far.
True. Now, and maybe in the
Raiders, the Jags, the Patriots, I don't think they'll fall that far.
I don't think so either. Would you take a flyer if you're the Jets here and go quarterback 3rd, 4th round, Dan?
Yeah.
Let's just say Kyle McCord's out there in the 3rd round. Your 3rd round pick is up, and Kyle McCord is still there. Would you take the flyer on Kyle McCord?
Yeah, maybe if they like him, or Ewers, or Dart. I mean, they definitely need one.
Agree. I think he would be fine with these guys.
I don't think Fields is the future necessarily.
I mean, but are you okay for 2 years, $40 million, $20 million a year for the next 2 years? Are you okay with that with Fields?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's a cheap price, honestly.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm fine with that.
If you were the Jets, what team would you have made a play for quarterback? Would you have talked to Darnold? Come back there. And would you have talked? Who would you have talked to?
Every quarterback. Fields, Darnold.
Okay.
Any better free agent, but who knows? They may take quarterback.
Okay. Speaking of the other guy that was supposed to interview with them, Russell Wilson, where do you think he ends up, Dan? Mason Rudolph just went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 2 years, $8 million, and we don't know the Rodgers saga. We don't know the Russell Wilson saga. We don't know. Where do you think Russell Wilson ends up? Because he was linked to a lot. He's coming to New York today to interview, isn't he?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Okay.
There could be a Giant, who knows? To be a Steeler, who knows? Rodgers could be a Giant, it could be a Steeler, who knows? I have no idea.
It is
Mario's gone, so
it's
other
crazy.
option I would have liked.
It's crazy. All right, so what do you think next year, Dan? Do the Jets? I mean, what was the record? Six this year? Last year?
Oh man, I don't know.
What do you think, Dan?
They were 5-12.
Oh my God! Wow, 5-12. Aaron Rodgers, 5-12. Wow.
Yep.
What do you think next year, Dan? I mean, can they turn it around? I mean, you got Patriots going from 4 to 6. Can the Jets do a little bit better?
I don't know. Maybe 7 wins. Maybe.
maybe 7.
I don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be. I don't know if Fields is going to play. I assume that's going to be their starter day, week 1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anyone else starting for them.
I don't either, Dan. I kind of agree with you. I think maybe 7 wins, possibly 8 if they steal a win somewhere,
Maybe
based on scheduling.
7 and 10, maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking I got 7 and 10, maybe 8 top ceiling because you're always going to play a one team coming off a short week or injury wise. You're going to get that team. You might steal a win, Dan, but I think 8 is the top next year. And that's even getting in. That's even getting in McMillan, Dan, honestly. That's even getting
You just don't know
McMillan
what
to
their
make.
quarterback situation is going to be.
Right, exactly. I
Pretty
don't
good
know with
everywhere
them.
else, but the quarterback play could
100%,
struggle
100%.
for all we know.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move on to another team here, Dan. Let's talk about this Miami Dolphin team, Dan. We always say they are like a nice team to watch on field. They're fast, they're motivated. But Dan, I'll start with the coaching. I do not believe in Mike McDonald, whatever the hell his name is. I don't believe in this dude. I do not believe in this guy.
Yeah, and also their quarterback can stay healthy. And no other answer at quarterback besides Tagovailoa.
Well, they got Zach Wilson now.
Zach Wilson to the rescue for the Dolphins? No way.
Well, I said on Twitter today, somebody was like, "Oh, Zach Wilson, he'll never see the field," and I chimed in. I was like, "Tua will get hurt at least 3 games this year. Zach Wilson will play at least 3 games this year. Because we know Tua, Dan. I hate saying this. I hate talking about player injuries, Dan, but he is one more concussion away from being 6 feet under. Honestly, you know what I mean?"
Simon Westbrook re-signed Eskridge.
Mm-hmm. Now they did some moves, Dan. They lost a lot of people though, too, Dan. They lost Christian Wilkins. They signed Christian Wilkinson. He got a huge deal, Dan, from the Raiders. 4 years, $110 million, Dan, for a defensive tackle. Deal. That's huge, huge.
They signed Larry Borum, James Daniels, KJ Britt, Tyrell Dodson.
They got Kendall Fuller too for the Commanders as well.
Yeah, they signed a bunch of people.
Now, the one guy that I was kind of surprised in, Nevin Gallimore from the Cowboys. Okay, Dallas is paying $6 million. Miami's only got this guy 1 year for $2 million a year, Dan. He's an upgraded defensive tackle. That's craziness. Why? Dallas is paying $6 million. Bite the extra $2 million and give him the $8 million total. Miami's got him for $2 million this year, Dan. A starting defensive tackle. I don't get it. I don't get it. Them. Yeah, good for them. And it's telling you Jerry's a freaking idiot. We know that, Dan. But
yeah, I'm glad.
But then let me ask you regarding the losses here. Christian Wilkinson's. He went there 4 years, $110 million to the Raiders. Yeah. They lost Xavier. Now this is one. Xavier Howard is still a good cornerback. Okay, for the Miami Dolphins. Yeah. They have Ramsey. They have Xavier Howard. Dan, they didn't want to pony up.
They lost Holland.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Signed Holland.
Mm-hmm. But they let Xavier Howard walk, Dan. He's a free agent. They're not even they released him to save money. I thought he was okay, honestly.
Yeah, I thought he was okay too. Who knows what they're going to be? If their quarterback doesn't stay healthy, who really knows how they're going to be?
Agreed.
Zach Wilson playing for them. I predict Zach Wilson will be playing for them half the season.
Wait, you said half the season?
You know he's going to get hurt.
Oh, okay. You know what? We're going to play it right now. We're going to go on out of the box DraftKings right now. Dan, how many games does Tua play next year?
12.
Okay, so you got him playing 3/4 of the year, right?
Maybe.
All right, I'm going to give him 10 games.
56% of the season.
56%. Okay, all right.
10 games, I guess.
Yeah, let's give him 10 games. At least give him the benefit of the doubt playing over 50%.
10, 11 games.
Okay. That's bad when we talk about a quarterback. How many games you want to play?
Over under 10. Over under 10.
I'll go over. I'll take the over at 10, Dan. I'll take the
over.
I'll take the over too. So we got to come back to that after the season's over next year. Eileen checking in. Hey, Eileen, how you doing? Thank you for checking in. Appreciate you. Kind of other surprising to me, Dan. I do like that. I'm surprised that they let Andrew Van Kinkel go, the linebacker. He was a solid guy. He reminded me of He reminded me of the Detroit Lion guy, Anzalone, I think his name is, the long hair guy. He reminds me of him. Bring the lunch pail, good run stopper. But one of the ones that surprised me, Dan, was a loss. They actually released Raheem Mostert. I mean, you got Devon A-Chain as the number one back now.
I think A-Chain's good enough, but he's gonna stay. Is he gonna stay healthy?
That's
That's
the
the
thing,
thing. I
though.
haven't been able to stay healthy.
That's the thing. I mean, to me, you got so much money wrapped up in Tyreek Hill. You have so much money
Yep.
wrapped up in Tua. You have Jalen Waddle on a bigger deal than Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
What do you think about that? Because the fact that all the money's there, and Jalen Waddle's a young dude. I get he's a young dude still, but Tyreek Hill, man, he is Tyreek Hill, but he's not Tyreek Hill that we know, the
No,
speedster.
he's not.
He's
No.
not the cheetah. He's not the cheetah anymore, Dan.
No, he's not. Definitely not.
Now they did what's his name, Jonnu Smith. They got Jonnu Smith as well to tie into. He's okay there as well. But what do you see, Dan? I mean, with this team, what was the reason Miami? I get the Tua injury. McDaniels is a dumbass coach. I get that as well. Okay, but what was the issue when you have all the weapons, Dan? A good defense that played. You have a lockdown corner in
come through in
Ramsey.
the clutch last year when they need to make plays that couldn't get it done.
Well, who do you blame? Do you blame the team or do you blame the coaching for putting you in positions to fall apart like they?
And Tua didn't play well enough either. He only played 11 games,
Hmm.
and without Tagovailoa, they had Huntley and Thompson and Boyle. I mean, that's not going to get it done. Sorry.
I mean, I think you honestly have to go out and get another quarterback, Dan, because I mean,
do.
you know what? I think you do, Dan. I think you get at that quarterback because Tua is on his last leg. I hate saying it. We got him at 10, maybe 10 games possible. You got Zach Wilson, who he don't give a damn. He don't give a damn. He just needs a job somewhere. He'll take anything. And you only have two QBs on the roster, Dan. And you have a starter, but you don't have a backup, honestly.
By now, I know what my friend Bo thinks about Tua. He thinks he sucks. Tua's Tagovailoa.
Danny and Paulie, it's Bo.
He can tell you what's wrong with Miami. He probably has a good opinion.
He says his daughter keeps changing my Google name.
Yeah.
Lucky Day says hello. How you doing, Lucky Days? Appreciate you.
Days?
Zoe says Skull. He's that Minnesota fan, isn't he?
Yep.
Oh man, we'll be talking about Minnesota in a couple of weeks here.
Yep.
Their division was good, so they're going to be a back end of our NFL Weekly talk. But where do you go, Dan, with this team? Because it's I don't know. Offensively, they have weapons. Dan, QB's a big discussion. Defensively, I think they're okay. Tua's okay. He's limited, however. To me, it's the health, man. It's the health with Tua.
You can't stay healthy. If he stays healthy, they win 10 games.
Did you see?
Healthy, that win 10 games.
Did you see? A lot of these players are wearing those. I call them condoms on their forehead now. The big, dome on their forehead. That crap. Did you see the interview where they said, Tua, will you be wearing, one of the concussion protocol helmets? The big sleeve on you. Yeah. He's like, no, I don't need it. Listen, you've had what? How many? I can't even count that high, Dan. Not on two hands, I can't count.
With a feather, he just gets a concussion.
If that was you, Dan,
okay. Breathe on him.
I don't know if it helps you. I don't know, Dan, if it helps you or not. Okay, whatever. The scientists say it does.
Be wrapped in a plastic bubble.
He needs a yes. If the NFL can come out with a bubble wrap, like from top to bottom, Tua is your your poster child for that bubble wrap, Dan. He should get a job for 3M poster wrap. That should be Tua. That should be his next endorsement. 100%. I'm
surprised they're not going out there getting a backup quarterback. Maybe they'll draft one. Who knows? They're 13th.
What do you? Okay, let's talk about that. Their draft pick at 13th, Dan. You got Tua locked up for 3 more years on a big deal, almost $50 some million per year. Where do you go? Because at 13, Dan, you still need a lot of position players here. Do you take a flyer? Do you take a flyer on a quarterback here and let him sit for a year? Or if Tua gets hurt, then you say you're in.
Well, they need safety, offensive guard, linebacker, defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a lot of good players at 13 on defense.
Hey, I mean, there's a lot of players on defense that can fit this system. I mean, you think about, their losses here, Dan. You lost Christian Wilkins at defensive tackle. That's a huge upgrade that you need right there. I mean, you're looking at 10, 12 sacks a year right there. He's still, good guy. You put him against
needs everywhere on the defense.
You need a lot of help. Bradley Chubb's not he was anymore, Dan. He's over the hill as well. I think you go defensive tackle here, best available. That's where I'm going.
What's up, Eddie?
What's going on, Eddie? Zoe says, Eddie Mac, Dan thinks the Giants win 6 or more games with no QB.
I don't know. He may basically screw it. Have no QB and tank for Arch. So
Oh
it was
God,
just
you're already
tank
on the
for Arch
20.
Manning.
Oh
I'm
my
like, oh,
God,
come on. That's in 2026.
you're on the 2026 Archie Manning train
No,
already,
I
Dan.
don't think so. You're not
I think
guaranteed
Dan.
that.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I think he's going to be a bust. I don't think he's the great, as they're saying for a kid that's playing in Texas. I don't think he's going to be worthy, Dan. I really don't. If
Yeah,
he
we'll
does,
see
he
in the
does. I don't
fall
think
of
he is. Yeah,
2026 how good he is.
yeah. But I'll go defense first round here, Dan. I'm going to go defensive tackle. Best available player out there for this team here. And then you know what? I think I'm going to go quarterback, probably maybe third round. If somebody drops out there, because there's it's not a deep quarterback draft this year, Dan. But I think you can get a solid backup guy. I think
I
anything
think
is better
so
than
too.
Zach Wilson. I think anything is better than Zach Wilson right now, honestly.
Oh, I know. Zach Wilson on Miami, that'd be hilarious. I'd love to see McDaniels with Zach Wilson.
Oh, let me ask you this, Dan. I mean, a lot of people are saying Shedeur Sanders is dropping down because he is a diva. He's very cocky. People don't like his interviews because I've seen one person without a name out there. They didn't relinquish who was said. They were a top 12 team that interviewed Shedeur Sanders, and they said, we didn't like how he interviewed. He seemed too cocky, all about himself. And the exact words were, we thought we were interviewing Deion Sanders when he played at Florida State. That's what the
Yeah,
interview was.
maybe he's not as humble. I think Cam Ward is more humble.
I agree. I agree too.
I
Now,
like Cam Ward, but I think Sanders will get picked though.
I'm just asking here now, if Miami's drafted, where they at, Dan? What position they at?
13.
Okay, right after the Cowboys here. If Miami is on the clock and Shedeur Sanders drops to 13, is eligible to be there, do you take him at 13, Dan, knowing that he's going to play some games here? He has weapons. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, nice running game. Jonnu Smith tight end. You're building the defense. Is this the place to take you short and let him sit, knowing he'll play, as we have two of playing 10 games, so you're going to have 7 games available to play?
Maybe it is to be interesting if they took him if he fell that far. I don't think he's gonna get that far, but if he falls that far, I think it'd be interesting.
I just don't know if I'm going to take a flyer on though, Dan. I mean, I don't know, honestly. I mean, do you go out and get another wide receiver? Do you get someone like Bolden, Luther, someone like that? You have 3
maybe.
wides and just score because your defense can't really stop anybody. I mean,
maybe, but I'm still concerned about Tua's health.
I am too. He says Shedeur holds on the ball too damn long. Shedeur calls. No, I agree with that. A lot of his work covered
sacks.
sacks.
Ball though.
He does throw a nice ball, but I do agree with Eddie too. A lot of his sacks they're not even covered sacks, Dan. They're getting out of the pocket, causing friction on your own. He did that a lot too. I think McCord is a consensus. We all love this kid. I love it. I've watched this kid since 8th grade. Watched him at St. Joe's Prep for 4 years live. I love this kid, not because I've watched him play. I've actually met him a couple times at St. Joe's Prep. So I love the kid. But Dan, you play at Ohio State. You lose one game at Ohio State.
Joe Milton.
You're talking Giants here. Trade Joe Milton.
I would take Joe Milton as a project. Jackson Dart, I like.
Okay, why do you like Jackson Dart? And Dan, why do you like Jackson Dart?
Played in the SEC, got better every year. I like him as city year though. I don't think it's an instant starter.
Okay, let me ask you: is he a first-round pick though? Early first round, let's say top 15. Is he?
No, I'm going to say he's a second-round pick.
Okay, because a lot of people have him moving up. I've watched this kid. To me, he's another version of he's not really considered it, but like a Brett Favre. He's a gunslinger, takes too many chances, makes bad decisions. I just don't think he is, because to me, he's that running gun, and I don't like how the system he ran with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. That's the thing.
I think Ewers is better than Dart is.
Wow, I don't like Ewers. Is like not even top 6 on my list, Dan.
I don't think he's the best fit in Texas. I think he has talent, but he would sit a year. I think him late in the draft, third round.
Okay. I can see him late 3rd or 4th. Yeah, I can see that.
If Tua can stay healthy the whole year, I think Miami can win 10 games.
Yeah,
they have struggled quarterback. They'll win like 5 or 6.
There's a comment here. I want to know the answer to this. We'll wait for it. So he says Jackson Dart is the best quarterback in the draft, Paulie. Can you explain why? I mean, I know some of our hosts here, we need drug tests as well, but can you tell me why? Why is Jackson Dart better than Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Kyle McCord, Brock Ewers? Just to name a few. Why? Why is Jackson Dart better than these guys? So if you're sitting at 1, you're going to take Jackson Dart. Okay. Dart has amazing potential, very strong arm. He needs to be with a great quarterback to coach his hone his skills. Okay, I get that, but that's pretty much every quarterback right now. I think Ward has a stronger arm. I think the strongest arm in the draft is Kyle McCord. Best accuracy.
Yeah, McCord. Yeah.
Is the best deep ball thrower on a dime.
Ward Sanders, I like him.
Okay. All right. Some of these comments, Dan. So he says Ewers is a lost cause. I agree with you there. I really do.
Yeah,
I agree. And he says Dart isn't better than Ward. No, I have Dart. Okay, I'll go.
I think Ward's better than Dart. He's better.
100%. 100%. My quarterbacks are, even though McCord's going to be a hit somewhere, whoever drafts him, I'm going to go Cam Ward as my consensus number 1. I go Kyle McCord number 2. I like the 3. I think the kid from, I forgot where he's playing. I forgot, just drawing a blank here. He's another SEC team as well. I kind of like him. And then I go Shedeur based on his arm strength. And then I go, God, it's a toss-up between Ewers and Jackson Dart for me. It really is. Really is. I just can't. I think he's a project. I don't like Shedeur's low IQ. I don't think he has a low IQ. I think it's just, the word I want to say is cocky. He's too damn cocky for me, man.
Yeah, I like Ward because he's more humble.
And Dan, could you imagine if he went to New York? The media would kill this kid, man. They would kill him. That's the problem.
We'll see with Miami. It's about their quarterback playing well.
Agree. I mean, yeah, I think. What do you think next year, Dan? I mean, drafted 12 this year. You have the weapons on offense. No QB, can't stay healthy. Defense, you gave away your number 1 player, Christian Wilkins, to the Raiders. What do you think next year, Dan? I mean, are you going to be a top 12 team drafted again? Does it get any better for this team?
I'd say they're going to be right around where they were. They were 8-9. I think they win 10 games though, if they stay healthy.
Okay, so everybody, in your opinion, you got the Patriots going up 2 games. No, you have 2 games. You have 4-6.
Probably draft around 10th.
Okay, so you're thinking 8-9 top, maybe 9-8 ceiling, right?
Yep, maybe 10-7, maybe.
Okay, I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be Tua playing 17 games. I mean, they have the weapons, but we already know his MO. He's going to be out a couple games, Dan. I'm going to go probably, even if they draft a big D tackle, Dan, it's not going to help that offense. I think that's low, though, 6-11. I think that's too low. They do have weapons.
I'd say around where they were.
Okay, I'm going to go 8-9
without Tua for 6 games.
8-9. I'm going to go 9-8. Dan, I'm thinking they're going to go 9-8 this year. I think Tua does play. Stop running Cam Ward. What size is Caleb Johnson? I think he's more considered like a scat back. Honestly, he's not the biggest back out there. I heard he is moving up to a lot of people's talk. I remember the name, but I think I have him at 7, maybe. Warden Sanders will be trashing the NFL. You can laugh at me later if I'm wrong, but I won't be wrong. Both of them. Well, you know what? Okay, here, consider this. Cam Ward, if he had a better defense, Dan, they would have went a little bit further than they went in the BCS. SMU.
They had Restrepo, a tight end, and Ward on offense. That's all.
Kyle McCord blew him out almost 400 yards in the.
Kyle McCord is good, but they have no defense, Miami.
That's the thing. I mean, Dan, you put up 45 points, and you won 3 games by less than 3 points when you put up 45. That's bad. You can't blame him, but. He's like Kyle McCord, Dan. The only guy that he has was Xavier Restrepo in Miami, 1 wide receiver, and he still threw for almost 4,000 yards, Dan. So
I like Ward. He's been good everywhere he's gone.
I like him. Definitely do.
All right.
Eddie says, "This is Eddie. You know what? I'll take that bet on you right now. You name your bet with that one. We'll miss. Oh, I thought you said miss 2 games. No, I know. Dan has him at 10. I have him at 10. That's the over and under. So if you agree, we got him at 10 games total as we play this year. That's all we have. That's all we have. Yep. And he says, I think there's a better Shedeur. There is a better Shedeur will be a bust again.
A bust in Cam. He thinks Shedeur will be a bust over Cam.
He has to go to the right system, Dan. He has to go to the right system.
I think so.
Just like I think it was Zoe said, he has to go to a quarterback coach. He has to get that whisper in his ear, to get away from what he's done in the past. His arm release is fine. He is mobile. He's good on the run. He's good with that. But I can't take a flyer here in round 1 with a quarterback. Maybe Maybe if the Kyle McCord drops second, third round, or if he drops third, you take Kyle McCord for your future, Dan.
Maybe. Yep.
Okay. All right. So you got 8-9. I got 9-8 for this team here, Dan. Now let's talk about this division team, Dan. One team race here, the Buffalo Bills, Dan. I'll start with this one here. Now, Stephon Diggs wants a trade. He gets the hell out of there. We talk about his production, great still wide receiver. He's the cancer in the locker room. Oh, Buffalo's not going to be the same. They lost Stephon Diggs. Dan, they were better without Stephon Diggs, basically with no-name wide receivers, Dan. No-name wide receivers. A rookie, Shakur, a rookie, led that team. Keon Coleman, a first-year player, basically. Dan, they outperformed with Stephon Diggs as their one.
Yeah, but Cook also had a really good year, too, the running back.
Oh, I love James Cook. And plus, they had that big back, Ray Davis. Ray Davis is a big back, too. He's the bruiser,
Yeah, but they went out, the new Josh Allen deal.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, Dan. Let's talk about what do you feel about that? He signed to 2030. He says he wasn't looking for an upgrade, number one. He got the upgrade. I said on my Cowboys show to Dave, he's like, I can't believe they gave him the extension. Dan, my feeling. This is my thing. I told Dave, he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand the cap. He doesn't understand that. My thing was, remember 6 years ago when Dak Prescott set the market at $40 million? Jerry Jones made a great asset. He put him ahead of the market, set the market. Now, Josh Allen is locked up until 2030. And I said, Dave, think about it. Quarterbacks right now are $60 million. Trevor Lawrence is $55 million.
Spread that money out, right?
Exactly. Now, next year, Dan, we know quarterbacks are going to be $65 million next year, $70 the next million, $80 million.
Push it down the road anyway.
Yeah, we might see a $100 million quarterback by 2030, Dan. But the Buffalo Bills have already locked them up. They've already locked them up, They got ahead of the curve.
Sense to me.
Makes 100%.
Pay him now. That way you should restructure later on. It makes perfect sense to me.
100%. I mean, $330 million, and most of the guaranteed money is $230 million locked up to 2030, Dan. You got your franchise, the MVP of the league. You got a quarterback, a running back, and a leader for your locker room to 2030. Solid pick. Solid extension. Solid.
Cooper is gone. They needed the wide receiver.
Well, what do you think about that? Amari Cooper's gone. What do you think? I mean, does Cooper Kupp come into play here?
Cooper Kupp could go there. Maybe.
I mean, they just signed Joshua Palmer, Dan. I mean, he's a big wide receiver too. I mean, he got a nice deal. He got a nice deal.
Yeah, you got a real good deal. So I think they use another weapon. They're 30th, so maybe they could draft one.
I mean, look, and he put up there. Memphis right here. Memphis Jobo's checking in. Thanks for checking in, brother. Appreciate you. I know if you do a podcast, let us know. I'll follow you back. We try to help other supporters as well.
Yeah,
or if you have anything like that.
$36 million.
Yeah, and he says, Palmer was terrible with the Chargers. But the thing is, he doesn't have to be the number one, Dan. You know what I mean?
Shakir, he's not the number one.
Shakir got that number one spot. Keon Coleman is still learning, Dan. We know when we talk about him coming to Florida State, he's still learning in his second year. You put Josh Palmer out there, Dan, to me, I'm going Shakir outside. I'm going to go outside with Keon Coleman. I'm putting Palmer, the biggest wide receiver on that team, putting him in the slot, Dan. He doesn't have to be that one look because you still have Dawson Knox. You have Dalton Kincaid if they want to go wide. Pick your poison, Dan. Pick your poison with that, And he says Palmer wasn't good. No, he wasn't good, but you got to think the system he's going to, too. He doesn't have to be the one option. He doesn't have to be the two options.
Yeah, he's a good three. That's what I think. He's a good three.
And you know what? He might even be the fourth option, Dan, because you do have Shakir, who just got, his long extension, too.
Keon Coleman also.
And with the tight ends, Dan, Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid, they're two hybrid wide receivers. They could be your third option. Palmer could be your fourth guy, or a third and sixth guy, a possession guy to move the sticks, because you want that big guy. Shakur and Coleman are not the biggest wide receivers.
They also have Hollins too. Mac Hollins.
Now here's an interesting one right here. Memphis says Curtis Samuel. He needs to be healthy. That's the thing too. Coming. I thought this would expel James Cook a lot, because when you have more of a scat back like Curtis Samuel, a good out of the backfield catcher, I thought this would be a lot better for them. But his injuries really downplayed everything for that team. I mean, he would be the third running back, but you do have Ray Davis, a big solid running back too. So
he had 5 carries last year.
Now the crazy thing is they only really lost the free agents. And Amari Cooper's on the free agent list, of course. But to me, he went to my team, Dan. Kagir Elam, their corner, okay?
Yep.
Dallas gave him a basically sign and trade deal, basically. Dallas gained a 5 and a 7. We only gave up a 5th round pick to the Buffalo Bills for a corner. My last thing I remember about Elam, Dan, he was targeted 9 times in that Chiefs game, gave up 8 catches, Dan. He got burnt. He got burnt. He got burnt. That's the only bad thing about him. But I don't know. That's not really their only loss if you think about it, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they also added Joey Bosa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about that. 1-year deal, Dan. 1-year deal.
Well,
not
he needs
bad.
to prove he can stay healthy. But I think that really helps. If he can stay healthy, it helps their defense.
I agree with that. I agree with that one too. I mean, you look at Joey Bosa out there. Ed Oliver is another guy that's out there. He's been, when he came, I think he played. I forgot where. I think he played at Houston when he came out of college. He's a big guy too. But your other defensive end, you're going to put Bosa on one side. You're going to put Greg Rousseau. You're going to have Greg Rousseau, which they just extended as well. He got a good deal too. So I mean, your defensive ends are good. You're fine there. Ed Oliver in the middle. You're going to run a 4-3, but if he can stay healthy, that's the thing. Bills don't have Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Higgins, or Chase.
Like that.
No, I mean, hell, I mean, you're right. They don't. But as I said,
they'll
Memphis,
still be good, I think.
Yeah, my thing is like when you have a coach like what's his name? What's the guy's name? His coach, Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott. He puts players in positions to be better because you give away Diggs. This team performed better with without a number 1 wide receiver. Josh Allen is not afraid to. He's the guy that says, okay, I missed you. I got you. I'm sorry I didn't throw to you. He was open. I don't care if you need 10 catches this game. He's wide open. I'm giving you the ball. That's the team. That's the team that they are. They don't need that number 1 wide receiver, Dan. They are a team that can build on filling the roster, fitting the scheme. That's Buffalo to me. That's Buffalo. They don't need that. If they got him, oh my God, if they got an A.J. Brown, a solid wide receiver like that, it would be so much better. But this team doesn't need that, Dan. They perform better without a number 1 wide receiver. And yes, Matt Collins is gone. Where did he go, Dan? Where did Matt Collins go?
I don't even remember where Matt Collins
I forgot where he went. I totally didn't write that one down. I did not write that one down where Matt Collins went. I forgot where he went. Elam needs to be the corner 3. We talked about it on the show last night. I think he is going to be CB3 because if Bland comes back and Diggs comes back, I think he'll be solid 1-2. I think he might be maybe. I don't know if he can. Elam can play the slot maybe against a 3rd wide receiver tight end. I don't know, so we'll see. We'll see with that one. But yeah, Von Miller's washed, man. What do you think?
Yep, he's done. Long on the tooth.
He's done. He's done. Memphis also says Bills D was terrible. Nothing. And that's what I mean. That's my last impression of Elam. 9 targets, 8 give ups. It's kind of bad. It's bad. It's really bad. And I think Eileen is right. I think they released Von Miller. I don't have him on the list. I did see a release there, but I don't think anybody's going to take a flyer for him, Dan. I think 4 games in the last year.
I don't want him.
No, not at all. Not at all. Eileen says Hollins went to the Pats. I do. Yeah, I do. You know what? I think that's his right. Yeah, we did mention him staying on the Pats, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes, we did. Okay, thanks, Eileen. You're right. He did go to the Pats. He did. Thank you. Yeah, but okay, Dan, where do you go with Buffalo here? I mean, Dan, they've been in the playoffs for God knows how many years straight. Where do you go? What do you do? I mean,
defense at 30.
Best player available on defense? Corner?
Yeah, best player available. Corner, edge.
See, I got 2 spots, Dan. I can agree with the corner position because you're starting Cam Lewis right now.
Receiver.
You really think? Wait. You think they need a wide receiver with Shakir, Coleman, and Palmer?
It's one of their needs, but I'd say defense.
Okay, I'm going to go defense. I'm going to go defensive tackle because I do think, to me, this is why I say that Rousseau is a good left defensive end. Okay, I don't like Larry and I can't even say his last name. The OG something. You had Ed Oliver. I like him. Bosa on the edge if he can stay healthy. I think what you do is you go another either old school nose tackle or a defensive tackle to fill that role. Best player available. This way your 4-3 is set because you look at your linebackers. Terrell Bernard they signed. I love Matt Milano. And I think it's a good situation where they run a 4-3 here. I really do. I like it. But the back end, the player that I think here, Dan, once again, I already mentioned his name. I kind of think Benjamin Morrison fits this bill here as a corner.
I think it'd be a good pick for them at 30.
I think so too. I think he's going to drop coming off that huge ACL injury that he had, and I think he is the type of player that can fit and build this team as well. I think they can. Yep. Buffalo needs a cornerback, and defensive tackle bonus would be an edge if the wide receiver drops. Do you trade out of the first round, Dan? Because you're going to be at best available here. Do you gain an asset for next year's? But you're not really plugged.
If they think a player they want is going to be there, but I would only trade to the top of the next round.
If you're the Bills, Danny, you've been in the AFC Championship basically the last 15,000 years here. Your team is set. You got the quarterback you want. You got weapons. Defense, you're only a couple players away from solidifying your team to surpass a Ravens or a Chiefs team. Do you ever take a flyer, Dan, picking where they're at to move up in the draft? If you want a player, do you move up and give up next year's second, next year's first, say to move up 6, 7 spots?
If the player you really want, he falls, yes.
You would? Okay. I think they might do that because there are a couple players away, though. Cook might. I can't see James Cook. He's a franchise. He's
hurt linebacker.
He is. I mean, I could see someone like a Jack Kaiser or Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. Jack Sawyer.
I like Jack Sawyer. Yeah.
Or a Kaiser from Notre Dame. Those guys are the lunch pail guys. I don't think James Cook's going to get released. I mean, he is a franchise back. He can get out. That's 50% of your offense on the ground. Overall, I can't see him get released. There's no way. No way. Which Cook? Dalvin Cook went to the Cowboys and played 2 freaking snaps with the Dallas Cowboys.
Now Cook on the Bills, the younger one.
No, Dalvin Cook went to the Cowboys last year. Remember, they traded for him. He played 2 games. He was on the inactive list for 4 games. He practice squad 1 game. He was active 1 game. He got in the game for 2 snaps, Dan, and had -6 yards for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
Dalvin Cook.
No comment on the Eagles.
Eagles, the door was fired. We don't talk Eagles here because I'm a Cowboys fan and Dan is a diehard Giants fan. Even though, yes, they did win the Super Bowl. Yes, I get that.
Congratulations.
No, we're just joking, Memphis. We're just joking. We follow all teams, but we're kind of pissed off. We're kind of pissed off this year. Buffalo 100% no. They're going to sign him to a multi-million-dollar deal next year. Not at all. Assuming they don't force it, he wants a 15 a year or sit. Bills can't afford. My thing is. But Dan, there are 2 running backs that I think deserve money. It's Saquon Barkley and James Cook, honestly. I mean, they perform to their contracts. So. They really do. They really do. Those are my top 2 running backs right now in the league right now. For basically what your money value is, I would $15 million. I don't know what Saquon's contract is at the extension. I think he like 18 million.
Dak is mid.
You're giving him kind words. I think he's the most overrated quarterback at $60 million. It's just
he's not even mid.
I do got to give him a little bit of credit because he did, renegotiate the contract. He did give us some money this year, Dan. He gave us $30 million on the books this year, so I'm fine with that. But brother, you better perform because otherwise, I'm going to have another season of talking shit about you on my show every week. So yeah.
Well, I think the Bills are going to dominate the division.
Well, Dan, I mean, we got the Patriots going 6-6-11. We got the Jets at 7-11, and we got Miami at 9-8. Dan, I mean, you win 10 games.
Maybe the Jets will be second this time. Maybe.
No, I can't. They have so many holes right now, Dan. Oh my God. I mean, I just can't see it. Dan. This is a 1-team race.
Daniel Jones, boo.
What does that say? Okay. I'm trying to be nice, but I don't know if they didn't draft a new Daniel Jones hit Debo now. Oh Lord. Speaking of that, Dan, are you kind of pissed off? Are you? How do you feel about Daniel Jones? Moving on, going here, going there. How do you feel?
I'm over it. Moving on. Moving on.
Moving on, huh? Moving on.
Yep.
Moving on. Okay.
We'll see if we'll have a new quarterback soon.
All right, so where do we have this Buffalo team next year, Dan? What kind of ranking are we giving them? I mean,
12-5.
Weren't they 13-4 this year? No, they were 12-5 this year, weren't they? 13-4 this year, right? Okay. 12-5. Wow. Okay, you're probably can sweep this division, Dan. That's 6 games right there. depending on their scheduling
And
coming
it
out.
says they win the division by 5 games.
Oh, I don't see 5 games. I'm gonna
They
go.
won by 5 last year.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I got them at 13-4 this year. 13-4. I don't think they win by 5 games. I'm probably going to have them 4 games because I do have Miami possibly winning 9 games if Tua stays healthy. So I do see 4. I see 13-4 winning the division by 4 games.
Oh no.
Fantasy girl checking in. I'm crying as a Colts fan. Dan, we already did the Colts division, didn't we? We already
Enjoy
did that,
Daniel Jones.
Dan.
Daniel Jones.
Fantasy girl, I will say a prayer for you. Okay, I'm very sorry, but I will say a prayer for you when Danny Dimes steps in there. I
Danny
will say a prayer.
Dimes to the rescue for the Colts.
Danny Dimes to the rescue. Dan, is that going to happen? Danny Dimes to the rescue?
If Richardson can't beat out Daniel Jones, I don't know what to tell you.
The funny thing is, I was reading rumors that
trade him right away.
I was reading rumors that Anthony Richardson might be on the trade block during the draft.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
maybe,
he's young, second year.
It's a message for bringing in Daniel Jones.
What did Memphis say? Oh, Buffalo will win the division by. I agree with that. I think they have a 4-game lead. They possibly can sit. But I see the thing is, I don't think they sit because you're still going to be playing with Baltimore. You're going to be Pittsburgh's gotten some better this year with their picks. Chiefs, I think you're going to play for that number 1 draft pick. So I do think they're, even though they have it locked up, I do think they play their starters for at least until the game is handily won. You know what I mean? Daniel Jones, man, they drafted right. Oh God, yeah.
Dimes.
Hope Lions get Trey Hendrickson. Whoever gets that dude is a solid pickup, but you got to pay some money for that, Dan. I mean, you got to take that contract.
Contract's going to cost now.
Yep. Mike McDaniels will make sure Miami doesn't. See, that's the thing. Mike McDaniels, he's a goddamn idiot. He's an idiot. He's an idiot to me.
He is.
Complete idiot. Complete idiot. So, Dan, real quick, I'm going to give you a second here. I'm going to let you think of where we're going next week. I always let you make that decision. But while you're doing that, Dan, how about we talk about our sponsor, J. Fine Law, 1-800-HURT-123, attorney Jason Fine, Big Al for motor vehicle accident, slip and fall, workman's comp, personal injury claims, 3 convenient locations throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. First, Philadelphia, also in Pittsburgh and in Jersey, Cherry Hill. Make sure you reach out to him. Great sponsor of a great friend of mine, great boss of mine for over 20 years. Reach out to him, mention Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Takes your case, no recovery, no fee. And lawyers charge you this crazy amount, about 50%. Well, we got a special here at Out of the Box. Mention Out of the Box, no recovery, no fee. Jason takes your case. It's 33 1/3%. You're never going to get that from any other lawyer out there. You're a proud member of Out of the Box Sports family here, so we take it kind of heart. Make sure you mention there as well. Also, shows coming up this week. Today's already Thursday, so we're half through the week here. Tomorrow morning, we have the Silver and Black with the Raiders, talking with Ken Fry. He's going to tell you who he's taking at 5 there, so make sure you check out that. Inside the Octagon is back with myself and Josh. We're going to talk about UFC 313, the big changing of the belt. Magomed Ankalaev beats the one to consider best pound-for-pound guy, Alex Pierre. So make sure you check into that. And Saturday night, we have the Atomic Drop. New shows coming back. Dan's one of the hosts of the Big Blue Hour. He's going to be bringing that back pretty soon. He'll be talking New York Giants. We have an NFL live show. Every draft, we do a whole live show with all the hosts. If any viewer wants to, get in tune with us, send one of us our message. We'll get you on there to talk about your team. We'd like to have all teams on there if possible. Golden Dome, the Notre Dame show will be back this year, and a new wrestling called Just the Facts. So make sure you follow us Out of the Box at OOTBS Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. We appreciate it. All the comments, all the views, we appreciate your time. So, Dan, where are we going next week? We got to go NFC, Dan. Where are we going?
NFC North.
Well, that's Skull, isn't it? That's a hell of a division, Dan.
So about those purple Vikings.
Yep. Who just lost their QB.
Yep, we have no quarterback.
Wait. Okay, prove it. Thank you.
JJ to the rescue.
JJ McCarthy coming off the injury.
If you don't get hurt.
JJ McCarthy to the rescue. Woo! Oh, God.
Oh, God, shoot me.
Oh, okay, let's talk about that. What if that happened, Dan? Would you take Anthony Richardson?
No.
Dan, he's an upgrade, isn't he, from what you have right now?
I don't know. Oh, yeah. Well, he's better than DeVito.
Danny DeVito?
Yeah.
God, Danny. I like how you said you don't know. You don't know. Oh, God, Dan.
What's going to happen?
Here's a comment to you, Dan. Who's Dan's team?
New York Football Giants.
Oh God, Darnold stinks. Got to upgrade to I 100%. But you got so much money wrapped in him for the next 2 years. I don't. Even if you release him, you're still paying $30 million against the cap. To me, you know what? If he sucks, let him play out. If he gets hurt, you went out and got Zach Wilson to the savior to Miami. You might as well run with him. Did Brandon Ingram retire? I think he retired. I believe he did, didn't he?
I think so.
I think he did. I mean, kudos to him. 2 Super Bowl wins with the Eagles. Good, good guy. Kudos to him. But screw the Eagles, man. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, NFC North next week.
NFC North next week. All right. So next week, Thursday, 6 p.m. It's the NFC North. Hell of a division. 3 teams in the playoffs. So we'll talk about them next week. Dan, any kind words or any departing words before we get the hell out of here?
Nope. Go Giants.
You're going to go with the Go Giants.
Go New York Rangers.
Okay, New York Rangers. New York Rangers. Are they in the playoffs, Dan? Or wild card?
They're out right now.
Far back or what? Can they make the wild card?
They can still make it, but they're struggling.
Who has a better chance? Your Rangers or my Penguins? Your Rangers.
Both about the same.
All right, we'll say a prayer for his Rangers and my Penguins because it's bad. All of our teams suck this year, Dan. They really do.
Yeah,
they really do. So my name is Paul Spencer. That is Dan Connor. We'll be back next week at 6 p.m. Thursday night on the NFL Weekly Talk, talking NFC North. Finally, some good divisions we can talk about, Dan. Finally,
Yeah, finally.
So we will see you next Thursday night, guys. Make sure you follow Out of the Box, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and LOTB Sports, Box Sports out there. If you host a podcast, follow us. We'll follow you back. We like to support all podcasters out there and all people as well. So make sure you tune in next week. Until then, guys, have a great week, and we'll see you next week, Thursday nights.